Now, as per, if you go by definitions, then power is defined as the ability to do or act as per the English definition is concerned, or the work done per unit time if you go with physics, or a derivative of the work with respect to time in terms of mathematics. But for us as phacosurgeons, power means the ability of the phacotip to emulsify the cataract. It's as simple as that. There are now two broad emulsification technologies. One is the classic phaco, on which I'll be focusing today, and the other, as we all know, is femtosecond laser, which is also essentially a way of emulsifying the cataract, and so it also comes under the purview of a phaco-emulsification technology, insofar as where power is generated. Speaking about classical phaco, let's go to the roots of the power. Now, about more than 100 years ago, Pierre Curie described an effect called the piezoelectric effect. And this effect basically means that certain polarized crystals like ceramic, when you apply an electric current to them, when you apply a physical pressure to them, they generate an electric current. In phacoemulsification, we use what is called the reverse piezoelectric effect. So these crystals, when you apply an electric current to them, they generate a physical movement, a contraction and an expansion. And this movement is then transmitted through our various devices like the phaco handpiece to the effective endpoint of usage. Now, power is delivered finally to the eye by the movement of the phacotip. The to and fro excursion of this phacotip is called the stroke length. And these are some parameters regarding velocity. It's around 13 meters per second, which is really fast. It's faster than Usain Bolt, if you might consider. And the frequency of most phaco machines varies between 28 to 60 kilohertz. At a lower frequency, you get a certain advantage that the heating is not so much, but the efficiency is lost. So most machines now compromise at around 40 kilohertz. These are the various tip angulations and designs that can be used to deliver this power to the eye. It was earlier believed that the more the angulation, the greater the cutting capacity, but the lower the holding capacity. These are now no longer considered as valid as they used to be. So mostly we stick with a 30 degree or a 15 degree tip where we can have an adequate balance between cutting and holding. Once we are delivering the power, it can be controlled by the surgeon. There could be a panel control wherein the entire setting is controlled by the machine. The moment you press the foot pedal, it gives you the maximum preset values. Or what is more commonly used nowadays, we have what is called the linear control. So the more you press on the foot pedal, the greater the power that the machine generates, till at the very bottom, you get the maximum power that you have preset. In this way, the surgeon can control directly the amount of power that the handpiece is generating. What are the mechanisms of emulsification? Now, the latest research that we have got is a review by Packer et al. That appeared in JCRs in 2005. And there are several methods which have been proposed. One is the jackhammer effect, which is the physical actual to and fro movement and mechanical trauma to the tissue. The other is a cavitation effect, which happens when the tip moves backwards. Because the speed is so high, there are micro bubbles formed in front of the tip, and when they implode, they generate a lot of pressure and heat. This is one proposed mechanism. This heat and pressure then creates free radicals which immediately and directly cause damage to the tissue. Proponents of the theory of cavitation effect say that you can always see the effect of phacoemulsification a little bit ahead of the tip actually. So you need not be in contact with the actual tissue to cause damage. Then there's the acoustic wave effect, which is the shock wave generated by the phacotip, which goes forth. It's an ultrasonic wave and it damages the tissue. Finally, there is also the shearing effect, which came in later. When machines use torsional phaco and there is no real to and fro movement, you can still emulsify the cataract because of the circular movement. This is called the shearing effect. There's been a lot of debate upon which effect is more prominent when we are using phacoemulsification. And to date, the confusion persists. We have evidences for and against each of the effects. Now, Milton Friedman said the power to do good is also the power to do harm. So when we are using phaco power, we need it because it allows the process of phacoemulsification to go on. But there is also the risk of damage if excessive power is applied, or if the application is to a non-target tissue, whether by design, which will not happen, or accidentally. Faulty placement is one of the problems, and it's a beginner's problem because when the surgeon is not very well experienced, the phaco tip might not be exactly where he needs it to be. A rough guideline could be this. You can see in this diagram what is called the central safe zone. And in this area, the structures of the eye are farthest apart from each other. So the cornea is well away from the iris and the zonules. And in this way, when you apply energy here, you are least liable to cause the innocent bystander injury. Another problem could be using excessive energy. If you're using more energy than you absolutely need for your emulsification process, you're going to cause endothelial trauma. You can cause corneal thermal injury at the site of the incision. And you could also cause trabeculitis, which is an inflammatory process, and it results in higher postoperative IOP later on. We have to use power with caution, and to do that, we have to use it with proper understanding of fluidics. And the aim is to minimize the power. However, you would still need more power for denser tissues and lesser for softer tissues. So you have to keep in mind the nature of the cataract and then accordingly choose your power. There are certain things we can do to reduce the total energy that is dissipated in the eye. First of all, use only when necessary. For example, if you are making a trench, remember to lift your foot pedal on the backward movement. That reduces the energy when we are not really using it. Then you can have a very fine control of the foot pedal. You have to practice on that, and if you press it more than is required, then obviously that energy is going to go waste. You have to set the machine to match the cataract. Now, people think that if I set it at 80% and I use my foot control, I can still use less energy by only pressing it halfway. But if you set it at 80%, you have to remember that every incremental excursion is going to be more than if you set it at 40%. So your control of the machine becomes much finer if your overall maximal setting is lower. You have to use accessory instruments like the chopper, which can do the work of chopping the nucleus or breaking the fragments without resorting to phaco-energy to achieve the same effect. And probably the most important of all is to use strategies for power modulation, which will be covered in the next talk, whether you use continuous or interrupted power in some way. You also have to be aware of using too little power, because you can push the nucleus, you can cause zonular stress, and you can cause even a subluxation or a dislocation if you are using too less power. So don't be afraid to use power, but use what is required. Finally, the measure of a man is what he does with power, so it is with the phacosurgeon as well. Thank you.